Today we had a lecture on the tsunami of science and technology. Needless to say that he speaks very brilliantly. What's called a Tulu Putidara, that will continue for another 1 hour. But one more thing is there. Today's lecture is in memory of Dr. Yesra Ananthakrishnan. ಅವರೇ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಎಸ್ ಆರ್ ಅನಂತಕೃಷ್ಣ ಅವರ ಮಿಸಸ್ ಅವರು ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಅನಸೂಯಾದೇವಿ ಅಂತ. ನಾನು ಎಸ್ ಆರ್ ಅನಂತಕೃಷ್ಣ ವಿಚಾರ ಹೇಳಬೇಕು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ಬಟ್ ಒಂದು ಹೇಳಿದಾಗ ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲ ಆಶ್ಚರ್ಯ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಕಾಣುತ್ತೆ. ಅವರಿಬ್ರು ನನ್ನ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ನೇ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಸೊಸೈಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಕಾದ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದವರು. ಅನಂತಕೃಷ್ಣನ್ ಅನಸೂಯಾದೇವಿಯವರು ನನಗೆ ಜ್ಞಾಪಕ ಇದ್ದಾಗೆ 30-35 ವರ್ಷಗಳಿಂದ ಪ್ರತಿ ವೆಡ್ನೆಸ್ಡೇ ಲೆಕ್ಚರ್ಗೂ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಈ ಮಳೆಗಿಂತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಳೆ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ. ಅಥವಾ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಚಪಾತಿ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಇದೇ ಒಂದು ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. We are attended the maximum number of lectures in the Bangalore Science Form. I think it will go to that And Dr. S. R. Ananthakrishna was born in 1952, very younger age, at Nanjangud town, Karnataka. He obtained his BSc Honours Chemistry and MSc Chemistry from Bangalore University and PhD from Indian Institute of Technology, his today qualification. He was an alumnus of the National College, He got a chemistry honours physics honours chemistry. So beginning as a physics was just a background. Actually, he was alumnus of National College Basmati. His wife, Dr. H.K. Ansuyadevi, PhD in Sanskrit.
Information theory.
Information
theory.
Information theory. ನಾನು ಯಾಕೆ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಟ್ ಬಂದೋ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ. ನಾವು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಡಿಸಿಪ್ಲಿನ್ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ ಅಂತ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ಕೋಬೇಡಿ. ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ಬೋದು, ಸಾಂಸ್ಕ್ರಿಟ್ ಬರ್ಬೋದು, ಸೋಷಿಯಾಲಜಿ ಬರ್ಬೋದು, ಲಾಜಿಕ್ ಬರ್ಬೋದು, ಯಾರು ಬೇಕಾ ಬರ್ಬೋದು. ಆಯ್ತಾ? is also an alumnus of the same college. Today, conjoint alumnus of the same college, one greatness. Apart from that, maximum number of there as a couple. But the individual put to a place for a couple individual meet actually. She is the Vice President of the University of Science Alumni Association and Faculty Center for Continuing Education at the University of Science. Dr. Ananthakrishnan was a principal scientist in National Institute of Research on Jute and Allied Fibers Technology, Indian Council of Agriculture, Kolkata. Be careful of jute and allied fibers. That's an important aspect. He had about 25 years of experience and had 26 scientific publications in various forms. Correct? 25 years, 26. 1 year, 1 paper. In the Raman 1 year, 1 publication is a great scientist. But there are no publication get doubt him. That is Raman is Narana. His research topic was on modification of jute fibers for applications fiber reinforced composites. He worked on alternative avenues for jute in non-traditional areas. Non-traditional areas. One of them is composites. He was interested in the preparation of cellulose acetate, a potential plastic material from jute stick and agriculture residue. He was also interested in the preparation of simple synthetic analogs of jute fibers and jute sticks, and were actively involved in moisture absorption characteristics of some plant textile fibers. Dr. Ananthakrishnan could speak and understand 9 languages. My God. Language generally, relatives ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಕಲ್ಕಟ್ಟ ಅಂತ ಕಡೆ ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ 3-4 years ಹೈ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್. ಅದು ಸ್ಯಾನ್ ಫ್ರಾನ್ಸಿಸ್ಕೋ ಇದಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಮ ಮಕ್ಕಳು 2 yearsಗೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಮೆಕ್ಸಿಕನ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ. ಇವ್ರು 9 languages, both Indian and foreign, such as English, Hindi, Kannada, Telugu, Tamil, Bengali, German, French and Japanese. ಆರು ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ ಹೂವಿನ ಎಲ್ಲ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜಸ್. He was an all-rounder in science. All-rounder in science ಯಾಕೆ all-rounder ಗೊತ್ತು ಮುಂದೆ ಇದೆ. Sports and cultural activities and possessed positive traits. He served in the All India Radio. Oh my God, this is fantastic. Indian way of life, the blood is just cricket. Served as a cricket commentator for Ranji Trophy matches. India street bowling airport is a national school. First EAS person. Second man, won the first time a test match ಔಟ್ಸೈಡ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಷ್ಟು ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಔಟ್ಸೈಡ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ B.S. ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ್ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಕೂತಿರಲ್ಲ ಪಂಕಜ ಜಾಗ ಕಾಣಿಸಲ್ಲ ಕೂಡಲೇ ಅವರೇ ಹೊರಟಿದ್ದರು. ಅದ ಥರ್ಡ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಲೆಜೆಂಡ್ ಅನಿಲ್ ಕುಂಬ್ಳೆ ಮಾತಾಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ. 3 ಜನ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಹೈಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಕಾಲೇಜು ಅಂತ ಜಾಗ ಕ್ರಿಕೆಟ್ ಕಾಮೆಂಟೇಟರ್ ಬಂದಿರೋ ಈ ಕ್ರಿಕೆಟ್ ಅವತ್ತು ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಇತ್ತು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಇವತ್ತು ಕ್ರಿಕೆಟ್ ಕಾಮೆಂಟೇಟರ್ ಬಹಳ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಟಾಪ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಕಾಮೆಂಟೇಟರ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಟಾಪ್ ಪ್ಲೇಯರ್ಸ್. He won several awards and honors. Among them, he is just getting a national award for the sports star essay competition on the topic again cricket. Thus, India made a new spin combination. ಆವಾಗ 1980 ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ ಸಮಯ ಆಕ್ಚುಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ 3 ಜನ ಬೋಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ ಇರಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರು ಥಿಂಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ನ್ಯೂ ಸ್ಪಿನ್ ಕಾಂಬಿನೇಷನ್ ಅಂತ. ಇವತ್ತು ಸಿಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಕಾಣುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಟೈಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಬೌಲರ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರಸನ್ನ, ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ್, ಅನಿಲ್ ಕುಂಬ್ಳೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅನಿಲ್ ಕುಂಬ್ಳೆ ಹೆಡ್ ಕೋಚ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಮನೆ ಭೇಟಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೆ. ಒಬ್ಬ ಕಾಲೇಜಿಗೆ ಬಾ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನನ್ನ ಮನೆಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ಅವ್ರ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ. ತುಂಬಾ ಸಂತೋಷ. ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಜಗನ್ನಾಥ್ ಅವರು ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಇವಾಗೆಲ್ಲ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇಂತ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿ ಹೌ ಟು ಡೆಲಿವರ್ ಲೆಕ್ಚರ್ ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಷ್ಟು ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ನಾನು ಎಷ್ಟು ದೇವ ಹೇಳ್ತೇನೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಇಂಡಿಕೇಟೆಡ್. ಈ ಕೇಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮುಂದೆ ಹಾಕ್ಸ್ಕೊಂಡ
millions of transistors. The other one, which has been from 2014, as you can see, this particular thing is a small one which carries about 40 million transistors. And today's limit will be closer to 1 billion transistors. And the way that our ability to keep on adding and integrating larger and larger number of transistors onto a given device has increased in this manner over years. As you can see what it is. And here is something which is of the order of 10 to the power of 4, and here is something like 10 to the power of 10 flops, or the number of calculations that it can do. It is already closing in onto what could possibly be done in the mouse brain. It might do that kind of a calculation. That is the expectation. So soon, if that is crossed, then we will be very near to human brain. Whether it would happen, we don't know. Because we have been integrating functions and bringing transistors closer to about 14 nanometers today. It would go down to 8 nanometers perhaps in the next few years without causing much trouble. And that means this is according to what we call as Moore's law. Moore's law was enunciated. Moore was one of the founders of the Intel, and it is after his name that this law is not enunciated, proved, or any such thing. It so happened that he said that every year the number of functions that could be integrated will double. And it looks like it has held good all these years. And in the next 4 or 5 years, more integration or increased integration will become impossible. But nevertheless, there will be other things that will overtake that. You can see how, for example, this phone from 1995, the size of a handheld phone has come down to this level. You can see that is the kind of progress that has occurred. You can see this progress even more clearly when you consider what was the size of a small tabletop computer was in 2000 and what the same kind of a thing could be done by what size of a device that we have. An enormous explosion of this kind of a thing has happened because of our ability. This is a technological progress that has happened. You can see the communication itself, which is the eye, which is something which sustains us today. There is no way that anybody can live without communicating with other people. And the communication level, you can see, these are all cable lines which have been there. You can see every country connected by cable in this manner. These are undersea cables which have been laid there. A cable that goes underneath will have 9 layers around that one. At the center of that one is a glass fiber. This is a silica glass fiber. It so happens that silica glass fiber is very transparent to certain frequencies which we choose. That frequencies, 1, 2, 3 bands, whatever they are, they also will begin to fail or decrease. It attenuates in about 40 kilometers. But it was found that we can automatically increase that one and bring back the amplitude of the signal by making use of an erbium doped glass, which is a small fiber fragment which is put in between, and it can do that. So thousands of kilometers you can carry this one. And today in this busy world, more than 99% of the international data is transmitted through cables. And we need that other 1.1%, which will have to be, because you hold a device to our ear and would like to hear where you don't have a cable coming there, not at least when you are flying up there, you don't have a cable connection to the ground. In those cases, it is, as you can see, I would like to add this one here. Just now, just last week, Google flicked the switch on a 5,500 mile dedicated sea fiber which goes from United States to Japan. It is to increase the amount of information that would be conveyed between these two countries, to increase that one several hundred times. That is what has happened, or what is happening right now. The other 1%, in fact, did I do the right thing? Okay, let me. In fact, right now we are carrying these two cables, or by making use of the satellite communication through a Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi actually stands, always I thought that it has something to do with fidelity like everybody else. But Wi-Fi actually is simply a trademark term, meaning it is IEEE 802.11x. That's what it is. So now in order to make it sound very, very much like that, we are coming up with, instead of having waves carrying them through the cables, you can have light itself to do that one. For example, the light that if you have LED bulbs coming down, we can have the light waves themselves modulated with the information wave. That modulation can be remodulated, sort of reconditioned or taken out, so that after taking out that one, the information can be simply passed on. So what it requires is actually light wave from the overhead LED can transmit the data very much like the old-fashioned Ethernet. It can do that one. So if this were to come about, which is not yet a reality, it would make recent tests have found that Li-Fi can operate at speed of 224 gigabits per second. It increases enormously our ability to transmit information. This is what is happening right now. The other thing that is happening is actually in the sky, as you can see. We have close to about 1,400 satellites whirring going around the Earth in elliptical orbits going up to about 450 kilometers or so in the apogee. So the authority of that one is sitting right in front of us. And therefore that is what is happening. They are all working there to transmit information of various kinds. They can be educational, there can be of trade information, or there can be of anything. There can be for the measurement of the temperatures on Earth, or the gravitational changes that occur, or carbon dioxide measurement. Everything on one of them is done by putting a satellite into the space. So that's what's happening. And of course, a very large number of an equal number, essentially roughly equal number of them are dead. And that is causing a lot of debris, as you can see here. This debris, I don't know what method will be there in order for us to take it out, because it can cause a problem for the satellites which are active. We have some of them which are satellites which are active, and some of them are actually dead. This is one of those pictures which tells how many of those satellites, important satellites which are whizzing around our globe. And of course, to add to this story, here is something that happened, and the person who is responsible for this one is in the audience, and I'm terribly impressed by my luck. It doesn't happen that way. That you are speaking of something for which the originator is sitting in the audience. As you can see here, we had, this is India launches the 20 satellites in one go, joining the gang of only some we have been able to do this kind of a thing. And of course, Kiran Kumar stands for anything. He has the Midas touch. So it really sort of a success, whatever he has touched. Ever since he assumed office, of course, first place that he ever visited after coming to Bangalore was National College. A person who is an epitome of certain virtues that we consider as very traditional. Humility for one, and an extraordinary amount of scholarship for the other, and a way of carrying a whole community of people to work with him, which has been the origin of the success that he had. I compliment him on this occasion. The other one, as you can see, is of course the giant leaps in the technology. The other one is, of course, putting a satellite to reach there. In 2011 was it, and October is when it was launched, and today it has reached there. Yesterday rather, it has reached there to be put into an orbit around the biggest of the planets in our solar system, and that is the Guru Graha, that is the Jupiter. It has been put there. So Juno is the name of this particular mission which has been launched there. It may come back and transmit to us the data about magnetism, probably presence of ice or water or any other details, and including the composition of whatever it is constituted of. So this is a very important thing that has happened. Satellite communication. And you have, in addition to that one, on the ground, computer that when I came back from the United States after my postdoctoral, I had a small one with 2000 bytes memory. And that was a very big thing for me, because every other colleague in the Indian Institute of Science would, with or without permission, come to my laboratory and do certain things on the calculator. And the one that I had in Purdue University was a band calculator. Otherwise, they were all mainframe IBM computers. That is what it was. And in Indian Institute of Technology at Kanpur, it was a IBM 1620 machine, which occupied about this hall. And by the side of that one, another couple of halls where students could sit and key in the things in order to punch the holes in cards and carry a deck of cards in order to be processed. There was a reader, and invariably after having put those cards, it would come out. One card being misplaced, your program is gone. That is the way that we used to do all our calculations. And with 80% of my thesis based on calculations, I really had a tough time in doing those things. And today, that is probably 1/100th of what this little thing that I have in my pocket can do. And the number of functions this can carry out are far, far more than what you can ever imagine. And of course, in addition, if you looked at the computers themselves, today you can look at that one. You can see, I wish you could see this one properly. One is actually the Milky Way too. That is what they call that the Tian-A. And that is a Chinese one. The other two are, of course, the ones that you see here are a Sequoia Blue Gene, which is this is from what is it? The custom. This is the IBM one. The other one is, I believe, it is a Cray. It is a Cray. All of them, if you were to say in one parameter the number of flops or the calculations that they can carry on, they are on the order of 27 teraflops. And the other one is, you can see that one, this is about 20. It is at the order of 20, 25 things. But the ones that are going to be unveiled very soon will be in 100 flops, 100 teraflops plus. That is what it is. Tera is 10 to the power of 12. This is 10 to the power of 14 flops before you see anything at all. For a chemist like me who looks at the vibrational lifetime, it is about 10 to the power of minus 14 seconds that it takes for one vibration, and it has done already a switching, and that's what it will be. I mean, it is incredible the kind of progress that has happened. You look at transportation, for example. I am not talking about the transportation which is based on making use of space, but I am talking about transportation which can occur on ground. Here is one of those developments taking place in the Hyperloop. Hyperloop is something which has been put like that, and you have a small cabin. This is the thing which is put into that one as a tube. This is one which has been in lower pressure. This is a pressurized one into which you are going to put people or seats which are there. And now this is going to be pushed by having a pressure differential and also a motional impulse that it goes. It moves at a speed of about 1,200 kilometers per hour. That's what it is. And the idea came to Elon Musk. And Elon Musk's idea was carried on by other people. And it is going to be a reality soon, because it was demonstrated in Las Vegas that it can do that. You can see where we are going. The progress that has occurred on the globe in terms of science and technology is incredible. I will tell you another area, a new disruptive technology known as 3D printing. As of day, this morning's futurism announcement is China is building houses. In one day, they can build 3 houses by making use of 3D printing. House itself is printed. A huge machine which will have everything that is ready, a fast setting cement. If the cement concrete that is there were to go one round, it is already set, and it keeps on building that. That is the way it is. The speed will automatically take care of the time that is needed for the cement to cure. You can see that one happening. But anyway, this one is the kind of machine that can be easily bought. The cheapest one today costs less than $1,000. And the best one probably, which can do a lot of it, So scales up. As you scale it up, it will cost more and more. It can go up to about $25,000. The one that is needed in order to make alloys, or this one, this is what is known as additive printing. If you take a material, I know that these are all layers, and I will put it under a machine which can read that one. It will give me coordinates for that one, and at each coordinate, at this one, something is present. I can take this one and say, memorandum of understanding that you have, the agreement can be reprinted fully in an identical fashion just by scanning that one and having already generated the data that is needed for the 3D printer to operate and simply put on layers. A plastic layer, beneath that one is a cloth, probably cloth layer. All that is needed is all those materials must be in different cubicles which will be able to provide that one for printing. And that is what is happening. It's incredible kind of things are being done by making use of 3D printing. To tell you what is happening, this is GE is achieved. GE, for example, had this one as a very critical part in one of their, because GE is an engine manufacturer. And of course, the aeronautical field, their engines are some of the most important, without competitor, they are always the first one. In 2015, several companies purchased these 808 machines capable of building metal parts layer by layer up to 550 in 2014. 353, this means 808 machines of this kind have been bought. Just that's the 2015. The number of machines, such machines being bought is increasing every day. Anything that you do, anything that you have to be done, you don't have to go back to the manufacturer to ask for that one. If you have a good 3D printing machine, you do that one yourself. Maybe the space may be one of the important set of people who are going to use this one for their technology. Because all that is needed, small alterations to be done, and all that you need is to give the coordinates for that one, and it is going to be printed in China. And in this particular case, this 3D printed nozzle, it had 18 individual parts that must be welded together. The new version is just a single part, and it is 25% lighter, which will help increase the fuel efficiency. Look at the kind of things that are being done. This is the representative of that. It doesn't end there. It has been combined with biosciences today. You can have stem cells which can be grown. It can be in a petri dish or in a bigger one. You can immediately, within 2-3 days, you can multiply, starting from just a few of the stem cells into millions of them. You can put them in any medium and do that. Say, for example, you want to give, this is actually a liver. They were working to creating a complex organ, namely liver, with their 3D printers. And this is being, while still very much of the work is in progress, this is what is happening right now. You have the stem cells, and you have the soup which is prepared out of the stem cells, and that is going to be printed, and the liver is going to be ready in 2 days. Years have been made that way, artificial years. You give the measurements of the ear that takes the measurement. It is actually a machine which scans the one and gives the details of what it is to be printed. Go to the stem cell and do that. Stem cell, in parenthetically I can mention to you, is something that comes from the, starting from the womb when a zygote is formed. It is going to give, burst out, it will divide and give a bunch of cells which we call as stem cells. These stem cells are capable of developing into various other types of the tissues we have in the body. We have 200 different types of cells present in the human system. Each one is different. And each of them really come from that stem cell, depending upon whether it is the outer layer that has come out, or middle layer that has come out, mesenchyme, or it is the inner layer which has come out, and which is responsible for all the things that we see. Sorry, so that is what has been happening here. And researchers in North Carolina, Wake Forest School of Medicine, they are doing the skin cells by that. In fact, skin cells can be induced to become stem cells. That is one of the biggest advances that we have today. Some other cell which is already specialized into or transformed into a particular cell can be induced to become a stem cell. It is the eye cells. These are the induced cells that can be. Therefore, that is skin itself. Skin is a usual source for such induced stem cells which we have. and those cells can be grown into this kind of a sheet which is the skin. So there is a burnt skin, you don't worry about that one. You keep him active for a while and then grow his own, take his own cell and then grow into that one and put the patch over there. Nothing is completely acceptable. That's because it is autogenous. That is what is happening right now in the field of medicine. I have taken only a couple of examples. There are numerous examples today where it is being used. You have here, for example, another development, namely development of drones. Drones are unmanned vehicles which fly. Of course, not that unmanned vehicles were not there, but unmanned vehicles of this kind were not there. They are very small, can be manufactured. The smallest of the drone that you can buy with just $20 today in the United States. It can be a small one. It can be made to fly anywhere and stand there. If you have a light kind of camera for that one, you should go around and simply take the photographs of everybody and come back to communicate it to me. Or if that is something which is connected to the internet will give me all the pictures here to be printed if you wanted to see. And that's the way it is. And from the $20 to anywhere up to something which can be used for defense purposes are here. I can't read this one properly, you will have to forgive me for that one. This is the way in which thousands of these drones are being sold today. It is already there. Now, having increased this one and flying at a rate, now people should be worried whether it will interfere with other flying objects like a plane. Therefore, the United States today has already, that's why it is happening in place for the young people. They have now made rules so that you can go from 60 feet up to some 200 feet or whatever it is. It is a zone that is reserved for having drones fly. Do you know why they are doing that one? Because there is a pressure on them. Because it is something which Amazon is doing. See this animal over here, which is a drone which flies, along with something which it is carrying. If you give the address will be typed on that one. That's the instruction given to this particular drone. You have placed an order with Amazon. Amazon takes that whole box. All that is needed for that one is whether you have a front yard where this animal can land. That is all what is needed. And it does that one. Worse still is the Pizza Hut, which is taking small ones like that. You can see, you can read that pizza. I can read, but you cannot. But that is what it is. Those packets of pizza will be delivered to the person for the evening. And such things are happening in great numbers. And if there is an urgency to give a certain medicine, this is one of the best uses that it can be put to. And that's what is happening there. And do you know where these most modern drones are being made and who makes them most? There is a company known as DJI, which is a Chinese company. And it makes 75% of all the drones in the world. So, these are being sold in the United States for their having developed that one. Like MIT, one of these source places where some of these experiments were done, are being sold in the United States or all over the world. This is a drone. It simply goes up. You can do that. Next comes the so-called self-driving automobiles today. These automobiles go by themselves. You need to give the address. And therefore they will be going there with an address. Very spooky to see a car moving on the road and coming in front of you and you don't see a driver. But that is going on. And the driver is actually here. This driver is actually informing where it should go. And not only that one, it will speed is completely controlled, looking at the vehicle in front. And today, the further development through what we call as machine learning and deep intelligence or deep learning, this vehicle can talk to the other vehicle over there. And that is what is happening. And so it will say, now you are too slow, you either take to the right lane or, I will be put into trouble, whatever this can say. More than that one, it is the trucks which are taken to this one. Do you know why? A truck cannot be driven by a truck driver for more than 11 hours without a 8-hour rest for him. And now what happens is, this truck driver, you don't need anything, no rest for that one. You need only electricity to drive that one, that's all. It sits there and it drives by itself. It adjusts the speed in such a way that there is a fuel efficiency achieved by that one. Next to that one is, instead of going for 24 hours, 48 hours or some such thing, the journey will be completed in under 24 hours. Delivery has been made. Okay, this is drivers are saved, and this is 1.6 million truck drivers who are there in the United States today. And that country. Please keep this in your mind because at the end I have something to say about that one. These 1.6 million drivers will be simply out of their jobs. Not only that one, these drivers would stop somewhere to have some coffee, to eat something. And all those restaurants had come along the highway because of these people. Now, they will also be out of job. They will close the shop and go. Because what do you need them for? And that is what's going to happen. Here you can see this one. This is known as Newtonomy. And this is actually a company which is a spin-off from MIT, which is going to make this service available in Singapore first. Singapore roads are clean. They are not cluttered because it is difficult to own a car in that country. It is highly taxed. And the price tag itself is very high. Several of my friends who are in Singapore have told me they never owned a vehicle. And that is because of this kind of a thing. Now, all that you need is to sit there, and this is a level 4 autonomous car. And the kind where all you have to do is to call that one in, get into the car, sit back, relax, and wait until you arrive at your destination. So you sit there and say, I want to go to the University of Singapore, somewhere, Nanyang University. All that I need is enter into that one and say that one because this voice that can be recognized by that one. It will take the instruction, oral instruction, and it will go. No driver, nothing, no salaries to be paid, and anything at all. This has got extended to a level now that this kind of an autonomous system has that the new kind of a development is they will drive us to the work, they will cook our meals. There are many machines which will cook the meals. It has already the recipe which has been given to them, and all the vessels, all the tomatoes, all the brinjals, all the ladies' fingers, water, anything that you needed, and a stove. It will burn itself and prepare that thing. All that you need to say is, I want this one by the evening. You don't come and say that one, you say it from the office. By the time you come home, it has already been fresh, prepared, steaming hot. And that is what it's going to do. They will cook. And they will do our dishes. There is one which looks like a hybrid between a zebra and a dog. It comes into the kitchen, puts its mouth into that one, picks up the vessel, puts it into where it should be, to a washing machine, waits for that one to be over, and stacks it back. You can't believe that one. When you see that one, it's spooky. You don't know. ದೇವರಿಗೆ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಸಂಶಯ ಬರ್ಬೋದು. ಅಂತಹ ಸಂದರ್ಭ ಇವಾಗ ಉತ್ಪನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ, they protect our homes because you have all these things are common already in India also. They care for the elderly, and I will show you one of those pictures, and even represent us in the poor. That is what it has come to. You will see that. Look at the rapid rise in the self-driving cars. I am showing you here, this is the 10 million mark by 2020. 10 million of the cars will be driven driverless. That's what it's going to be. These self-driving cars, this is a new phenomenon that is really taking us by surprise. Look at these robots which are present in hospitals. One hospital robo can carry a patient like this. There are a number of these so-called tug vehicles. These tug vehicles go by themselves. They will open the door. They will open the lift and get into that one. They will go to the place where the room number of the patient has been mentioned, deliver the medicine over there, and take whatever data sheet has to be taken or whatever has to be taken from there out, and it goes back. No human being. Who will talk to? I don't know. In the hospital also, we will need to talk to somebody. And many of the older people, particularly, I am already old, they would like to say, they would like to complain to the nurse who is there. No, that's not there. That's what's going to happen for it. Robo transforms, outperforms the best human surgeons today. There are many brands of the surgeons today operating this one, which is all done by robots. But this cannot replace the doctor as yet because the doctor has to supervise. There is a requirement because other human being something happens. You can't take the robot to the court. And therefore rules don't permit. But there is something that we should take even while we are amused by this one because they are making rules in Europe that these vehicles which are doing that one, driverless cars and all that, will have to pay tax because it's a robo. Robo is replacing, it is a machine man. Therefore it will have to pay taxes. Because otherwise, no driver, no income, no tax, nobody. That should be a failure of the government, monumental failure. They have to do that. That is the effect of what we have today in advanced technology. Look at this Amazon fellow, what he is doing. He has actually put in his shops. See, he acquired what we call the Kiva. This is Kiva. Kiva makes, this was a company which used to make all these robots. And these robots, the company itself was bought by them. There are now 10,000 of them, these Kiva ones, which are moving around 30,000 Kiva robots in 120 giant warehouses of his. What it does is to read whatever order has come from a person. These will go, this shelf itself will move to somebody who will pick it up. That also could be a robot. These are all moving ones, as you can see. The whole thing is moving, and that is everything. And these are actually, in several of these so-called warehouses of Amazon, a person may have to walk 8 kilometers in order to get something. And of course, climb up some 30 feet or whatever it is. That's not happening with robots which are doing it now. You can see where we are right now. There is a thing which is a mind-boggling experience, and if it works, I will tell you. Just one. Can you go? Next to license doesn't over that. Please wait for me for 1 minute. You will like this video. I'm almost certain you will like it. No. The pig which is running there, very good. It will go there and shoot down. One simple defense application. There can be many, and it could be frightening because we don't know what its implications would be when it gets to the hands of the wrong people. It is okay that we do that even. If it is with the other people who can access that one much faster, we add it. And that is the way that it could happen. All this is happening because what we call as the Internet of Things. Internet of Things means any kind of a device that we have. It could be a phone, it could be a laptop like that one, or it could be a machine which is operated. All of them which are connected to the Internet can operate through instructions which are given from far away from where it is located. This is what we call as Internet of Things. And it can be an interaction between man and man, having a device. It could be between man and machine, or it could be between two machines. Put together, that is what it would be. IoT, what do I have here, which I want to convey? That's what it would be anyway. Next one I will do. How did Internet of Things really happen? In this one I must have given you a number, and I don't know where it is, that number. I cannot go to it. Yeah, this Internet of Things in terms of economics are of the order of, by the year 2000, between 2013 and 22, amount that would have been spent on this would be of the order of $7.5 trillion in each one of these cases. $7.5 trillion. That is what is involved in this one. An enormous amount of money that is involved anyway. In the next one I show, what about these incredible but true changes in our life? It has all become, in the computer, we used to make programs and run that. It went to a stage where you can make this program very easy. to operate also, to have icons in which to really sort of punch and do that one. A large number of what we call as subroutines, which have come to be known as each subgroup, this one which is present there. Now this is all working according to the instruction. Now came the era of the so-called artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, of course, that's where we have to remember Sheshgiri, who was the first person to talk about artificial intelligence in this country. And that's what happened. For artificial intelligence, one of the aspects of that one is so-called deep learning. That means how to sort of machine itself derives certain conclusions, tests that one for itself, and comes up with a solution. How do you do that one? You can build algorithms which can do that. There are methods by which you can do that. As a part of that one comes machine learning, because deep learning is further up in one stage beyond that one. Because it adapts the neural, so-called network logic of this one. So neural network logic is, we think like in our brain. See, our brain is incredibly complex. It consists of 100 billion neurons. Each neuron makes connections with other neurons in 10,000 different ways. Each one of them is a connection where we call it as a gap. I have earlier spoken to this audience about the brain chemistry. And that is a synaptic gap. That synaptic junctions will be anywhere up to 10,000 for each pair, each one of these neurons which are present there. There are several types of the neurons, but it is important to know this particular thing. A large number of them are connected to various parts. Today, we don't distinguish as simply 42 regions which were known as Brodmann's formula. We now recognize more than 100 different regions because we have been able to do experiments to show, but this is the part which is connected to this particular kind of one. Whether I kick it with the left leg, or whether I am going to raise my knee and kick something, whether I kick a football or something else which I sense, each one of them is a data connected to particular parts dominantly. It is not as if other parts are keeping quiet. Every part of the brain is connected in some way or the other. We are talking about the memory and all those things. But anyway, the idea is that there is a neural network which makes the decision in under 1 or 2 seconds. If something is coming, we don't wait for, like for example in this case of Boston Dynamics particular thing. As soon as it is coming, we know that he is going to kick me, or he is going to cause harm to me, or he is going to come and congratulate me, or whatever it is. I know, I study his mood, and in 2 seconds I have made a decision as to how I should react. This is what it is. Now at least part of this one can be simulated. To take the neural connections, here we do the same thing, we do a hierarchy of such connections. They are all connected, physically connected through wires. You feed the data and the data is going to be processed in one layer. We see what kind of sort of results come out of that one, and that will be fed back, or it is going to be further processed in the same way. Check it against the results that you got. That means a computer as a given thing will have to work for a long time. To recognize my voice, it will have to work for a long time to determine what is being done. Such exercises really take a lot of time. But nevertheless, at least there are some 10 important kind of, you can't see this one, I said, 10 machine learning algorithms. ಇಲ್ಲ ಬರ್ತಾಯ್ತು ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತದೆ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನೀವು ಕ್ಷಮಿಸಬೇಕು. ಅದೇನೇನು ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. It doesn't do anything. H2O. H2O has no connection with my brain functions at all. And back to this one, these 10 algorithms are being used extensively by any number of people who are working in this one. These algorithms can be specialized for a particular function. It may be voice recognition, it may be a picture recognition, it may be any other decision-making kind of a thing, where the machine is doing that. So the more machine operates with that kind of an algorithm, the more certain it becomes as to its prediction being accurate. If it comes to about 60-70% accuracy, you can let the machine do that one with a large amount of data which you have to feed. And that is where the large data comes in. In our experiments, we will do probably 100 experiments maximum, and it will be there in the paper all over. 100 times this has been done with various kinds of changes that we have. It is nothing. And this is going to take the data now. Say for example, Facebook person, Zuckerberg said, all the conversation that you make on Facebook is there, available to you. Don't think this world is very simple. You are not anymore a private citizen. So that word has certain connotations. A private citizen. You are not anymore. You are not insulated from the other things. Everything everything that we do, when we use this form, connect to the internet, you are a property that can be simply sort of taken away by somebody as another data point for him to be analyzed. You can analyze with this data how human beings interact with each other. How many people think in a negative manner? How many people would like to really see some dirty things? How many people would do good things for the society? Etc., etc., etc. You need large data. Large data is the basis of the success of this one. This depends on the large data. Large data in turn depends upon all the kinds of things that can be generated. Look at this interdependence of each other. And that is what is going on with this one. This is the Internet of Things. See, the first thing, if you remember, in the year 1997, we heard of this Deep Blue, which was a computer of the IBM, a huge one, which was winning. This is the computer box which is sitting there, winning about Gary Kasparov in chess. That was a big news. I don't know how many of you remember. Those elderly people here would remember because it was headlines everywhere. IBM machine wins against the expert as the world champion in chess. That was all done by calculating how many different moves can occur, at least in the 3 stages, and the computer would do that one very fast. There was no real deep intelligence, deep learning, machine learning, artificial intelligence in that one at all. It came to the stage of playing Jeopardy, which I have not included that one. Next machine challenge has been with this particular thing, where Lee Sedol, who is in 18-time Go champion, Go is the game of the Chinese. ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಮಾನವಾದ ಆಟ ಏನಿದೆ ನನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತೂ ಅದು ಚೆಕರ್ ಬೋರ್ಡ್ where there are the black and the white ones set. If the black is completely surrounded by white, you have won that particular thing. Like this one, it goes on. Each one of them, how many possibilities at each stage means? It is not 3-4 possibilities, 120 possibilities. So there is no way you can make for 2 or 3 or 4 stages and give it to the computer, because that is unhandleable, even for a supercomputer. What did they do? They went for the artificial intelligence. You gave a data. Large number of data of people who play with this game are available. Fill that one. So the machine would take the neural network kind of a thing and check whether it can win. The results would be used to further iterate that one in several stages to see whether it can really come to a proper conclusion or a proper move. That is precisely what was done, and this person lost it to a machine, and that made a news. All of us know this one. Sort of putting Lee Sedol and failing him in his game was extraordinary. That's what happened. Advantages of big data analysis stays here. You can see that, for example, for an aeroplane. Do you know in a working engine how many data they collect? It is, this is a million, 2.5 billion roughly. That is the data points which they collect every time it moves. And how it has behaved, what parts have behaved, all these are sensor functions. Sensors which have been put there, and the data is taken to analyze how they can improve the conditions of that one. And of course, this represents all functions. The person who is working there, so his sensors are going to sense whether blood flow is normal, heart and chest function is all right, and everything that is connected to the person will be not only connected, but will be communicated. This has already become past, because we know that such things already exist. And all this one comes in, whether it is in healthcare or transportation, from big data analysis and artificial intelligence. You would be surprised. I will read the sentence which will have. Law firm Baker and Hostler has announced that they are employing IBM's artificial intelligence RAS to handle their bankruptcy practices. So, a computer, a robot, has been hired by these biggest people, where it is going to replace 50 of the lawyers which are handling the bankruptcy cases now. Because it knows all the laws and how to argue that one. Because it has been put into that one, it uses all the data that is available in legal firm and will make that decision. And here is that thing this is sitting here. At the University of Toronto, it was there first developed, and then a year later, AI moved to Palo Alto, and now hired by them. It looks like, very ridiculous, isn't it? You hire somebody as if you are hiring an employee. You are hiring a machine, a robot for that. algorithm sits on boards. Here is a computer which is sitting among the people who are board members to make decisions. That's what it is. And you have today large number of decisions which have to be taken, say at the bourses, which have been taken by robots. That means if you look at the New York Stock Exchange, it is not the people who are raising their hands, putting 2, 3, 4, this, that, all those actions are stopped. It is not even computers where you move your fingers and quick decisions. It is the robo which advises this is the best stock to buy that. How does it do? Very rapidly it compares with that one, that kind of development. Asset management is being done by artificial intelligence kind of thing. This is what it is. And you can see here, the robo advisors. We are advising $8.2 trillion today. That is the asset that they are managing and advising. The estimated enterprises robo shipments will be about 783,000 in the next coming year or so. That is what it would be. I wish Professor Iyengar were here. This is something that is happening in the medical field. For example, to determine whether very early stages of the development of a cancer, it can be done by a large amount of data that is available, of having analyzed that one by using any number of techniques to arrive at whether this is a cancerous cell and whether it represents that one at a very early stage. And this is with the breast cancer again. And you can see that when it could be done to a level of 92% confidence. Any doctor who do that better, 97% if you have all the data that is available, they will start from, you said, cancer, they start from the tip of the toe up to the head, they will analyze everything, putting you through a number of machines. And this one gives you the data, and this one or two data that you supply can do this job so well. And this is artificial intelligence. Bank business. Bank business is going to be present type of banks will take a hit. Do you know why? We do all our transactions with the computers that we have. Go to the bank, find out the balance, make a payment. Small payments are very difficult because it costs you a lot of money. Every transaction is charged. Now that is going to go away. No, banking is essential. The banks are not. That is what is being told by the head of the founder of the Microsoft. Bitcoin is another new currency that is coming in, a new development that has taken place. And Bitcoin is an alternative. There are 10 alternative currencies in the world today which can be used. They don't come under the bank. They are not the notes which are printed and under that one there is a governor's handwriting or the signature saying that this is guaranteed. No. But these are machines, vending machines and ATMs from where you can draw that one and transact among people. Of course that is your money. And in a sense, it has already come to you after paying the taxes. And therefore, government cannot touch that. You are transacting that one with people who can accept that one and who have also been connected in the same way. That connection is now seen through what we call as blockchains. Several organizations are connected through blockchains like this one. At least there are 40 organizations connected this way. Many banks, primary banks are connected that way. You can transact in, they have counters and they're going to go there and have their registers which will confirm if you want it, whether this is valid money or not. That's all what is needed. And therefore, you can save all of the large amount of transactional money by making use of this one. You have estimated IoT spread by 2020 where you will have, for example, this is estimated, global PC, there will be at least 30 to 50 billion devices connected through Internet of Things or Internet of Everything, IoE or IoT. That means for every individual, you have anywhere from 6 to 8 of the devices connected through the Internet. I am tired. That's what's going to happen for the human beings. That's what it is. Everything that we do is going to be that. In the wake of all these things, there is something else happening to human beings. Not just losing your freedom. You are not anymore an individual by yourself. You are already known. Big Brother is watching. That is what has come to. Not only that one. Look at this one. Who are the successful people? If you took it in 2010, there were 388 richest billionaires. They could be fitted into a large enough aircraft. In 2014, there were 80 of them, which could be put into a double-decker. And in 2016, there were 62 of them, which can be put into a bus. by 2020, I don't know, India when, these people, these 62 people today, own wealth which is higher than half of the population of the world. 3.5 billion people, starting from the poorest upwards. Half of the world's population has a wealth which is lower than that of the 62 people. Now, that is a strange situation, because money power is actually power of all kinds. If you are wealthy, you control the whole thing. And they will also give a little donation here and there, 250 crores for brain research. What are we talking about? The kind of money that these people have, and there is nothing. Therefore, people will come out with this. That is when I said there is a humanism in these people. What will happen to these people? There are about 3.5 million people, by virtue of the self-driven vehicles, will be thrown out of job. Will be thrown out of job for any number of things, because anywhere that you take, human beings are substituted by robots, or banks being closed, because no bank will work this way. Because if there are not even two people going there to do any transaction, what will you do with the branch? Bank is going to close it down. And that is how it is happening right now. Therefore, what will you do with people who don't have jobs and who want to live by themselves? You can't train them. Everybody cannot be a programmer, working at the rate where, for the artificial intelligence. You can't do that one. We all had some assured jobs. You could do something, and you don't need that one anymore. Even in teaching jobs, there will be, artificial, you wear a device by which you are seeing a teacher who is teaching you. You converse with them because there is a voice recognition system, and it takes immediately the question and it answers. You are sitting in the comfort of your house, taking some, potato chips and coffee, and you are listening to the teacher. Luckily, the teacher may not see you, but anyway, you get your education, and that's what's going to happen. Here is something that you can see to what extent there will be. This is for 100 workers. For example, in Korea you have 4.78 robots. In Japan you have 3.14 robots for every 100 workers. There are 2.92 robots in Germany. And in the United States you have just 1.64. 0.66 in some other country, and in China it's about 0.36. These robots will do the work of any number of people. Building a building today by three-dimensional, sort of 3D printing, all that you need is program and do that one. You don't need anybody to mix the concrete at all. All of those jobs are gone. That's the way that it's going to happen. How are you going to retrain them? This is a professor's view that you can't retrain them where people assume. How our country is going to be affected? Look at this one. 88% of the people in Ethiopia will lose jobs. 80% in Nepal. 77% in China. 75% in El Salvador. 69%, 70% of the people in China, in India will lose jobs. Global average will be 57% of the job people will be out of jobs in just under 1 decade. That's what's going to happen. How are you going to do that? What would you do? Whose job is at risk? You can see that one. Insurance underwriter, you have no business. 99% of them will go. Because what insurance are you going to take? There is no need for that one. Farm labor, 97% of that one. Today's advanced agriculture is done by sitting in the comfort of an air-conditioned room. You only program that. They will go there, plow the soil. They will go there, put the fertilizer. They will go there, put the seedlings. They will go there and water the whole place. They will go there, cut the crop. They will go there, they will process that one and bring it to wherever you are. You don't have to bring it. You order that one goes straight away to where it should go, to the market. Therefore, 97% of the jobs will go away. Fast food will be 97 because you are having the robots which will prepare it for you in the office or anywhere. A small kitchenette there that will do that. Every one of the sectors will be hurt by that one. So right now the idea is you have a universal basic income. Supposing all these people who lose the jobs, you simply create. One idea is that human beings are so creative that they will come up with some kind of a job and they will work. That may not be so easy. There have been. That may not be so easy. And that is because incremental improvements can be made by us. not absolutely new jobs to be created, a job description. Remember, at the end of the 19th century, there were 100 job descriptions. Somebody who is a carpenter, who is a something else. By the end of 2000, it was 12,000 different job descriptions. All of them will go on one go. They will be taken away, a large number of those jobs. What will you do with that one? Therefore, the idea is to try whether you can give each one of them a certain lump sum. Every month, $10,000 in a year per person in the United States, $10,000 every month. If you calculate how many stand for them, irrespective of who it is you give this, don't worry about it. Don't ask them to do anything for you. Let them do whatever they want. Will it succeed? Well, in one or two cases they tried that, for example, in Namibia's story, it looks like the crime has come down because there were no jobs. They guaranteed and tried it at certain places. Harper says the story is very important because this person was given by some of his friends 1 year's salary and it was put in a pocket and given to her. And she was told 1 year you do whatever you want, write whatever you want. That is when she wrote Kill a Mockingbird, which won her the Pulitzer Prize. But how many Harper Lees are there to whom you can give a pocket of money and go away? Tomorrow they will drink it up. There are many of the people who do that. We have tried that one here. You can see right away locally. Anna Bhagya, Neerin Bhagya, Halin Bhagya, A Bhagya, E Bhagya, Ella Bhagya, Lulu Kotaka, Mandili. Wapani can someone. Not one of them. You can't get agricultural labor today. None of them. You know what they do? They take all that money, put a white, this one on their shoulder, they will be sitting at the Arlikate, the common gathering place there, planning how to pull somebody down or push somebody. They have not yet attempted murders in my village at least. They are gentle. At least they are considerate towards other human beings. Will it succeed? We don't know. The European Parliament Committee on Legal Affairs is concerned. That is what the robots using that one. And what we mean by this one is, actually several countries have tried this one. And this I will show you this one. You see, for example, in the Netherlands, they have, they're trying it in a part of that. In Switzerland, of course, in Switzerland, there's 24 cantonments, or 24 cantonments. Anything, if you want to repair that one, they will go to a referendum. They will have to do a referendum and then put that one. A small bridge to be built, it is referendum. So the referendum is every day there is a referendum for that. Anyway, that's a small country, just put it in the pocket and go kind of the country. And therefore it works for them. But referring Switzerland, they said no, we don't want this universal basic income. Why did they say that? Because the world's black money is sitting with them. And for keeping that money, these people will have to pay them. And so it's a free income already. They will do some good jobs, and probably clocks that they made or watches that they make today in the electronic watches era, who is going to buy them? There's something which you do computation and it is there on your wrist. Who is going to buy them? Anyway, they are fancy things. Some of the things that they make, they are also, technology, they are an advanced country already. And of course, they will sell a lot of cheese. The Swiss cheese is so very common, maybe they will do that. So basic, universal basic idea is being tested everywhere because it's an imminent thing. The human beings will lose jobs and there will be a very big problem on the shoulders of every country. At one point of time, Bertrand Russell had stated that a certain small income sufficient for necessities should be secured for all, whether they work or not. That would be a good thing. Supposing several of the professors would have felt very happy. They had told, look, your income is they don't have to write any papers, you don't have to do any research, you don't have to do it. I don't know what percentage of professors would have done work. I doubt it very much. Therefore, universal basic income should not be given as such probably. It should be given with some conditionalities. But before that one, I think I was going at it. For example, the present chief of Microsoft, Nadella, is from Indian origin. Nadella has stated that at least you must have 10 conditions that you should follow. Namely, you can't make developments which are going to hurt the interest of mankind as a whole. There is something in his brain probably at this point. They are absolutely rich people. When you are talking about people who have made themselves successful, their career earning graph, it came like that. There was one big peak, singularity. They have become such a peak. I mean, we are where we are. There is some incremental thing. On the 10th pay, 7th pay cut, you should announce that you will get a little more pension. We are already committing us, and next time, we are getting it, doesn't matter, we'll buy a little more. That is the kind of people we are. And we also work, there is nothing wrong. If there is no achievement of a different kind, it is because of the policy deficit, and that can be made up. But this is a direct consequence of reckless progress that has occurred in technology. We have to live with it. I don't know how it's going to be. And that is something that today requires a humanistic approach. I want to get that message across to you. And this is where science and technology is. And I thank you for listening to me. I think more time probably that was Ram Rao.
I think today I thank Dr. A.J. Rao for an excellent lecture given here. And he has brought out so many ideas. You can think about it as you go to your home. And so many people are waiting here since 5 o'clock, now it is almost 7:45. I think as an exception, today there are no discussion, no question and answers. I end the session by inviting you tomorrow for another beautiful Christian biology. Thank you.